Hey guys, it's Kyle again. This is lesson 2 for our MN8 music class. Um, and you're probably thinking, what am I looking at right now? Because that's a whole lot of dots, and I'm scared of standard notation. But you shouldn't be, because it's not really that difficult, and we're going to go through what each one of these symbols means, as well as each one of these words, and this whole thing. We're just gonna go through all of it right now. So this will be kind of our almost like our musical vocabulary lesson in a lot of ways. So if you haven't watched the first lesson, I still suggest you go and do that. If you haven't been doing your interval training, I very much suggest you do that. It's very important. I'm always harping on about it for a reason. And if you haven't gotten your instrument yet, then definitely go do that. Um, Starting next week, we're going to start doing instrument specific lessons. I'm going to be putting out some guitar lessons that are actually playing the guitar, and some violin lessons where I'll be on my viola, but it'll be basically the same thing, and we'll make it good. So if you haven't gotten your instrument, do it within the next week or two, because the next lesson is going to be actually the mechanics of how to play. So anyway, let's get into. But before you can learn how to play, you have to learn how to read, right? You can't play without being able to read. So let's talk about what we're looking at right here. This is Ode to Joy, Beethoven. This is a beginner level song for the violin. Obviously, you got your title up here. You've got the symphony it's from. Ode to Joy from Symphony Number 9. The composer is here. You can see my cursor. So what is this? Allegro maestoso. This is the actual tempo that the piece is meant to be played at. Allegro means fast, and maestoso means majestic or stately. So you play this quickly, and it's you've heard Ode to Joy. Da 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 da. It's like march music. Um, so these Italian words, we're going to learn a few Italian words over a lot of Italian words over the course of the time you play music. But basically, allegro means fast. Fast usually means like over 100 beats per minute. And then moderato is like medium speed, so like anywhere from 60 to 100, I'd say. There's andante, which means slow, and that's going to be basically 60 BPM or lower. You don't usually go lower than 60, but and those are the three that you're gonna see most of the time in like a beginner's context. There's a ton of different Italian words that Italian's sort of the language of music. So there's tons of different words that you might hear now and then that are telling you to do something and play something in a specific way or something like that. Okay, there we go. I had to clear that out there. I drew all over it. Um, but yeah, so this will be the tempo, and sometimes you'll see something like this, maybe, where it says like this symbol equals this symbol plus this symbol. You'll see some like weird instructions here. We're gonna learn how to read these instructions right now, basically. So what are these? These are notes. These are quarter notes. We're gonna erase this. Don't worry too much about this whole thing that I was talking about right here, where it's like instructions for how to play. We'll get to that another time. Oh God, it's all right. Destroying my whole thing here. This is fine. This is fine. Technical difficulties. I don't actually know how to use Clip Studio Paint. I bought the license, never used it. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so those are quarter notes. Actually, before we talk about that, sorry, I sometimes get ahead of myself. I want to talk about this section right here, this whole big section. What are the different elements that we see in here? We see this crazy looking something or other. And if you look at it, kind of squint your eyes and think about it for a while, it kind of looks like a weird G. And it's because this is the clef that we're playing in. Violins and basically any instrument that plays in the upper register of where a piano would be, so like the right half of a piano, play in treble clef. And it's called treble clef. Treble. I don't see my terrible handwriting. What the fuck did I do? What have I done? The pen doesn't work anymore. Oh, there we go. So treble clef or G clef. And the reason it's called G clef is because it's based around G. This little loop D, if you look at my cursor here, the little loop D at the bottom of the clef symbol is actually wrapping around the note G. This line here on the staff, these 5 lines are called the staff, is the note G. So it shows you where that is. This clef down here, if you look down at the bottom, this is the piano part that has these brackets around it. This is the bass clef. Or the F clef. As you can see, it kind of looks like an F, and these 2 dots, if you see those, are around the F note. So this middle line, this kind of upper middle line here, that is F in this clef. It denotes the note F. So you guys who are playing violin and guitar, you don't have to worry about bass clef. You only have to worry about treble clef. And then there's one more clef. It's the clef that violas are played in, and basically nothing else. It's called alto clef. It just looks like the letter 3, the number 3, I mean. And it's also called the C clef because it's this little point is like C. Doesn't super matter. Only super cool and awesome guys who play the viola know what alto clef looks like. Anyway, so those are the clefs. They tell you basically how to read this because a note here, so this note right here, if we're looking at this note right here, it's in this space on the staff. This is E in treble clef, but in bass clef it would be G. So we'll get a better example here. If we look at this note and this note, these are actually 2 different notes. They're in the same space on the staff, but because it's in 2 different clefs, this one is actually this one up top here is a C, and then this one is a fucking, what is that? That's an E. Took me a second. So you can see how it's important to make sure you're playing in the right clef, or else you're gonna be playing the whole 5th down basically. So that's the clef. Just make sure that you're playing in treble clef. It's not that complicated. I'm making it more complicated than it needs to be. The thing next to it, all these like pound symbols or hashtags if you're, pound symbols if you're old, hashtags if you're not as old. These are the key signature. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to open up a new copy of this thing. Just a second. Oh, I'm shown behind the curtain. Okay, that's better. Now we can talk about the key signature. So these 3 pound signs are the key signature. Key signature. And what the key signature is, we're not going to get into too heavily in this lesson because I want to talk about rhythm. But basically what the key signature tells you is it tells you what notes you can play, what notes you're allowed to play over the course of the song. So basically, they're saying, hey, we've got an F sharp, a C sharp, and a G sharp here. So every time you see an F, a G, or a C, it's a half step higher than what it is normally, than the natural note. You know, it's just so they put it here. So they say if you ever see one of those, it's a half step higher than it would be otherwise. And it's just so they don't have to keep writing sharp everywhere. You know, they don't have to like write the sharp. Oh, this is the symbol for sharps. The symbol for sharps is the hashtags. Hashtag equals sharp. You can tell because it kind of, you know, if you think about it, it's kind of like an H. H for sharp. Sharp, I guess. And then the flat symbol kind of just looks like the letter B. And if you remember from our first lesson, sharp and flat are the black keys on the piano. So the sharps and flats are, you know, this is telling you what, instead of white keys to play, what black keys to play, essentially, if you were playing a piano. On your violin or on your guitar, it's a little bit harder. You have to actually like know where the notes are. You know, you don't have that like visual confirmation there, that visual aid. But yeah, it's just something that you got to get used to, and it's just something that, you know, hey, we're playing in this key. You know, this is the key of A major. So we got 3 sharps. Okay, I know, and it'll always be the key of A major if you see 3 sharps. I told myself I wasn't going to get too into key signatures, so we'll have a whole lesson on that later. So just don't worry about it right now. But that's where it is. The thing I do really want to talk about in this particular lesson is this guy right here. This is the, let me clear everything out again. All right, we're back. I accidentally erased the top of the O, so now we're playing Oud to Joy. But so this thing right here is called the time signature. And it's really, really important for the rhythm, and that's what I want to. That's really the heart of the lesson that I want to talk about today, is just learning how to read a rhythm of a song. So the reason it's 4/4, this top 4 denotes how many beats per measure there are. So beats per measure. This bottom 4 denotes what note counts as 1 beat. So since it's a 4, and if you think about it as a fraction, you know, it's like 1/4 because it's on the bottom. 1/4 quarter note, 1 beat equals quarter note. And what is a quarter note? These are quarter notes. These guys right here. All of these guys right here are quarter notes. So you can see in this measure, and a measure is just, you know, the way they split the music up, so it's just easier to read. This measure has 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes. The starting measure, 1, 2, oh, I accidentally. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes. 4 quarter notes. 4 quarter notes. What is this? What is going on in measure 5 here, though? Or measure 4, I mean. Let's take a look at this. So this guy right here And you can see how the flags on them, or the stems, they can go up or down. It just whichever one. Basically, if it's here or below, it goes up, and if it's here above, it goes down. It just makes it easier to read. It doesn't matter. We just know that quarter notes are these guys, like the dots with the stems on them. Basically, the big filled in dots with the stems on them. Those are quarter notes. This guy is a quarter note with a little dot. What does that mean? This little dot next to it means multiply the value of this by 1.5. So just add half the value. So this guy, this dotted quarter note, is equal to 3/8 notes, which look like this. You've probably seen this symbol before. Something that looks like this. 1/8 notes. So a normal quarter note, to be, in contrast, to be clear, a regular quarter note would just be equal to 2/8 notes. But a dotted quarter note is 3, because half of a quarter note is an 1/8 note. So you add that one extra 1/8 note in there. And then this guy right here next to it is an 1/8 note. So we can see it's still 4 quarter notes total if we, and then this guy next to it is a half note, which is 2 quarter notes. So we can see that this measure still holds 4 quarter notes value in it, because we've got a quarter note and then an 1/8 note, and then we've got another 1/8 note and then 2 more quarter notes. So we've got 3/8 notes and then the 4th, so that's 2 quarter notes, and then a half note, so 2 more quarter notes after that, right? That's what the time signature is telling us, that there are, in any single one of these measures that you look at, there's going to be 4 beats, and a quarter note is what we count as a beat. Okay? So let's talk about maybe some other time signatures that you're probably going to run into. So the only other time signature, so now this is called 4/4 time. This is also called common time. So you ever see a song that just has a C right here, that just means common. And because 97% of music, like literally like the vast majority of music just in general is written in 4/4. Other time signatures are pretty rare. You kind of have to go hunting for them if you want to find them. But yeah, it just affects the feeling of it, because 4/4 just is kind of like your all around sort of just like general purpose time signature, whereas something like, let's actually open up a whole new drawing here just so I can actually show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, so what I was talking about before, where we have like 3/4. Oh, and this pen looks horrible. We have like 3/4. So this would mean same thing. There's 4 quarter notes, or there's 3 quarter notes in each measure, because a quarter note is 1 beat. This still means 1 beat equals quarter note. This up here means 3 beats per measure. And so those are probably 3/4 and 4/4 are probably the only 2 time signatures that you're going to see, especially as a beginner, because nobody writes in anything other than them. But you've heard other time signatures before, certainly. If you've heard, like, Mission Impossible is written in like 5/4. I don't know why I keep writing them as fractions. They're not fractions. It's just 5/4. Some songs like Alicia Keys It has a couple of really popular songs that are written in 6/8 time. So eighth notes have the beat, and there's 6/8 notes in every single one. That's pretty cool. You might be wondering, well, isn't 6/8 the same as 3/4? And kind of, but not really. But that's a whole other. If you want to talk about that more, I would, I'd be happy to sit there and talk your ear off about time signatures and the effect they have on music. But as far as beginner purposes go, 4/4 and 3/4 are the two that you're going to run into. So when we see 4/4, we count to 4. So much of your life in music is going to be counting to 4 in various ways. So for this one, this first measure, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit so we don't have all this stuff here. Okay. So for this first measure, we would look at this and we'd say, okay, we've got 4 quarter notes. This is pretty easy. We're in 4/4. So we just count this as 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and steady at our allegro tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Easy. Let me just keep doing that. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. We get to our dotted quarter note here, and now we have to be able to count an eighth note. So we go 1. Stupid. Damn pen. God. We go 1 and. Two. And. Sorry, I was walking by my window. I didn't know who it was. Yeah, so for this dotted quarter note, we go 1. So normally we can split these quarter notes up into, subdivided. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So here we would be 1 and then since we've got that extra eighth note in there, this would be 1 and 2. We would hold this note for 1 and 2, and then we'd play this note and 3, 4. So this normal rhythm just goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. Or 1 and 3. That's how that measure would be counted, because you're just holding out those notes for that time. So this is going to feel a little bit kindergarten, but it's important to develop your rhythm. I want you to try and clap along to the rhythm. So whenever you say, I want you to count each beat and only clap when you start to play again. So I'm gonna go through this right now and do it. I want you to try and do it yourself for just this stuff up here in this first line. Don't worry about any of this stuff down here, because this is the piano part. Just ignore this and just do exactly that. Try to clap to the beat. And I'll give you guys a second to figure that out, and I'll stop talking. Okay, so now I'll show you what it was basically supposed to sound like. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba, ba, ba. That's that last one. And that's really all there is to it. It's just counting to 4 and 3 in various ways. And this is how you read a rhythm. So just as I'll give kind of a little cheat sheet here at the end of our lesson. Sorry if this kind of went off the rails. I was starting to just ramble. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, sorry if this kind of started to ramble a little bit. It's been a long week, but I wanted to get this lesson out there because I knew that being able to start reading sheet music is really important. So what I want you guys to do, and there's going to be a companion lesson to this lesson that I'm going to record tomorrow, talking about how to read the notes. Because right now we're just worried about how to read the rhythm. But tomorrow I'm going to record another lesson, and then in our actual Saturday meeting, we can talk about how to actually read the notes and what the notes are. But right now, just worry about the rhythm. And so I just want you guys to go look up some other songs. Like, this is kind of your assignment for the week. Look up some other songs and try and do that, clap rhythm thing. I know it feels very juvenile. It feels like you're, in middle school music class or something like that, but you got to start somewhere and just clap along to those beats. Just make sure you're counting out every single measure according to the time signature. So you're just counting to 4, and then you're just clapping along with the beat as you're playing, basically. So now I'll kind of create a little cheat sheet of everything we talked about here, and then that'll be the end of the lesson. Okay, yeah, I made this little half cheat sheet, half sort of like little test thing. So I've got like a couple of different examples here where it's 2 measures, and I wrote out the first measure for you, and then see if you can. So just see if you can try and clap along with this. This first one's pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. These last 2 get a little bit more challenging. So if you have questions, just feel free to ask. We've got all our different things here. One thing I did neglect to talk about is a couple of these guys. The whole note, it's just a circle with no stem on it, and it just counts for 4 beats, or 4 quarter notes. This is the quarter rest. It is this like weird looking lightning bolt thing. This is the half rest. It looks like a hat, half hat. This is the whole rest. It looks like a hole in the ground. So same thing. And then and this is the 8th rest. It also has kind of like a funny look to it. But these rests are just exactly what it's. It's just a beat of silence, a beat where you don't play. So like this, I put in the rests here on this very last measure of this last one. So just be rest, 2, and rest, 4. Rest, 2, and rest, 4. Because it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's rest, 2, and rest, 4. Right? That's how you would count that. That's what it would sound like if you played it. It'd be rest, 2, and 4. Rest, 2, and rest, 4. Rest, 2, and rest, 4. That's what that sounds like. Maybe I'll erase that and do a different one now that I gave you the answer to that one, kind of. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry if I went on kind of a ramble on this one. Pretty tired, so let me know if there's anything you're confused about. Come to the Saturday meetings, or just text me, whatever. Send me a message on Teams. I'm never busy after work or during the weekend or anything like that. Never too busy to talk about music theory. So thanks, everyone.